All right, perfect. Namaste, guys. Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consultant, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this Transformation Q&A Thursday. Before we begin, let us invoke. Place your hands on your heart. Be where the beautiful, loving energies in your heart. Feel the expansion in the heart. Be where the crown. Be where the beautiful, loving energies in the crown. Be where the heart and the crown together. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother. Respected and beloved teacher, Grandmaster Chola Kuksui, to Lord Mahaguru Jmeling, to Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, to Lord Ganesh, to Saraswati, to Holy Master Count Saint Germain, to all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, healing ministers, to our divine selves, our higher souls, we humbly invoke for your divine light, love, and power, for your help, guidance, and protection. We ask for your wisdom, knowing through direct perception, giving us the highest level of truth that we can assimilate and practically implement into our lives. We thank you, Lord God. We thank you all with gratitude, respect, and love. So be it. So be it. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Whew. Welcome, everyone, to another beautiful Transformation Q&A Thursday. I have a funny story. We're actually recording this in the evening. It's around 7:30 p.m. Puerto Rico time. And I just found out this week that Puerto Rico doesn't change time zones. It stays the same all year long. Puerto Rico looks good on you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been really good, unexpected in some ways and expected in others. But some pleasant surprises along the way, for sure. So what I've been doing is going to the beach pretty much every day. I'm doing my Arhatic yoga practices, which includes exercises, breathing, about an hour of yoga, which is not really included in our Arhatic yoga. We don't do too much Hatha yoga practices or physical yoga in our Arhatic yoga, but it helps to open up the channels, the nadis, the meridian, so energy can flow through you faster during your practices. So I do basically the practices that we've been taught in our Arhatic yoga. And it's been great. But the guy that I'm staying with is also a pranic healer and Arhatic yogi. And he goes, hey, you should do your practice outside of the bit, like right in front of the building where the pool is. And I'm like, he keeps mentioning it. I kind of walk by it when I head out the door and I'm like, yeah, it's nice. It's clean. It's a good area, but I'm called to go to the beach, right? It's like a 12-minute walk. But then, I got to get the umbrella, I got to get the chair, I got to get my yoga mat. So I'm like this big, hunky, bulky guy walking down the street with all this stuff for 12 minutes. And I thought, you know what? Today's the day. I'm not going to go to the beach. Let's do Twin Hearts instead. And so, walked by the pool, walked into the little park area, beautiful tree in the center of the park, and start doing practices, right? Do some yoga, do some exercises, right? The exercise that we do before meditation, the exercise that we do after meditation. Then I do some breathing, some purification practices, and then I do meditation. Now, the meditation I have not done for years. For years, I haven't done this meditation, but something was telling me, hey, do that meditation. I was like, all right, well, sure. Now, there's some side story to this meditation. So of all the meditations in pranic healing, which there are many, many different versions of the Twin Hearts meditation, this is not even including different versions of the Arhatic yoga meditations, but there are many versions of the Twin Hearts meditation, which is the foundational meditation we practice in pranic healing and even Arhatic yoga, right? You have 3-minute versions of Twin Hearts. You have 35-minute versions of Twin Hearts. You have Twin Hearts for physical healing. You have Twin Hearts for psychological healing. You have Twin Hearts for generating good luck. And then there's a Twin Hearts that came out in 2001 that was introduced by Master Nona. For those of you who do not know, Master Nona is one of the 8 pranic healing masters in the world. And she's a former Mother Superior where she was in charge of, quote unquote, 3,000 nuns. 3,000 nuns reported to her. Right? 3,000 nuns. That's a lot of nuns. And she was responsible for millions of dollars going in and out of the organization that she was in charge of, like the portion of the donations, et cetera, right? And so she's mastered inflow and outflow, moderation, non-excessiveness. She's mastered greed, right? You didn't see her squirreling away $100,000, $500,000 of the donations that were being brought in. So she mastered that. But in 2001, she recorded the most popular, not just Twin Hearts meditation version, but the most popular meditation that had sold through the Center for Pranic Healing in Lyndhurst, New Jersey. It's called the Twin Hearts Meditation Archangel version or Archangel Edition. It's the most popular meditation of all meditations. And what makes it so powerful? Well, number one, it's being led by a master pranic healer. Number two, it's being led by a former mother superior. Number three, it is being guided by the 4 archangels that you picture in front of you: Archangel Uriel, behind you, Archangel Raphael, to the right of you, Archangel Michael, and to the left of you, Archangel Gabriel. Each of those archangels have certain energies and qualities that help you with something. And I used to lead this meditation for about 2 years in Denver, Colorado. We would have anywhere from 15 to 25 people come to the Archangel meditation. Most times we sold out, right? Because back in the day when we did meditations in person, it would be anywhere from $10 to $40 for a meditation. And inevitably we would sell out wherever the location was for the Archangel meditation. And without exception of the 2 years that we were leading that meditation, physically, nobody could keep a dry eye for the whole meditation, including myself. I'm the one leading the meditation, right? I'm the one, facilitating the energy, as it were. And I couldn't keep a dry eye. And I was just reflecting on, there was a certain yoga studio that we led the meditation in that was maybe 2 miles south of where I was living in Lakewood, Colorado, called the Belmar area, which is like the ritzy part of Lakewood, and Lakewood is right next to Denver. And I remember this yoga studio. They were super open, loving, kind to us. They opened up their place and said, yeah, whenever you want to lead a meditation, a healing clinic, whatever events that you have, you're more than welcome to take advantage of the space when we're not using it. And at that time, we were doing about 13 different events every single month. That was just one of the locations. We did a couple events per week. We did a Twin Hearts meditation and healing clinic, and then we would do maybe Lord's Prayer or the Archangel meditation. But I remember we would typically do the Archangel meditation every Saturday in the afternoon, and we would all sit initially starting off in a circle, and then we would end up facing east when we were doing the practice. And there was this beautiful ray of sunlight, and Denver has 300 days of sunshine per year, so it was always a blessing regardless of Saturday or whatever day. And the rays of sunlight were coming in, and we would start the meditation, and about midway into it, most of the time, you would start hearing sniffling in this person and sniffling in that person and sniffling in this person. And people were just like, because they were feeling and experiencing the energies of the archangels. Now, what dawned on me today is when you do the Twin Hearts meditation with the archangels, the first archangel you have a connection with in the practice is Archangel Uriel. Archangel Uriel, who is the light of God. The light aspect, which is what is the Inner Transformation membership about? The light aspect, developing your ability to understand things, developing your ability to access wisdom, right? For your own spiritual growth and evolution, and to hopefully alleviate the suffering in your life, right? And so when you see this archangel, the task, as it were, is to ask a question, right? Is to ask a question. So you have this great being, great energy, the light aspect in front of you, and you go through the door, quote unquote, of wisdom, and you ask a question. It could be a question about your health. It could be a question about relationships, about your spiritual purpose in life. It could be any question. And something really strange happened today when I was doing the practice. I didn't have a question. Nothing deep within my heart was seeking an answer. And it made me think that we're so entangled with the lower mental plane of always asking a question, getting an answer, asking another question, getting an answer, asking another question, and getting an answer. It's this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But how often are we actually having experiences of the answers to our questions, right? So for instance, you say, okay, I want to know what my life's purpose is. And then somebody sits down, maybe they do some spiritual counseling with you, maybe they do a healing with you, and they say, okay, your life purpose is to be a nurse, or your life purpose is to be a healer, or your life's purpose is to be a real estate investor, or your life's purpose is to continue doing what you're doing. You're in your life purpose, right? But how often are we actually experiencing that answer fully in every particle of our being, right? And so I thought to myself, okay, I have questions, and Radio Shack has answers. I have questions, but then I thought to myself, but the answer is obvious. The answer is to keep doing what I'm doing, and that will bring me closer and closer and closer. So for instance, if the question was, how do I be more prosperous? Well, the answer to that is very simple: by practicing the principles that are taught in the Kriya Shakti class. And then going, all right, am I practicing those principles consistently, persistently, day in and day out? Okay, this one, yes, this one, yes, this one, no, no, no. Okay, so I'm going to work on those three. So it's the answer is self-evident. So I'm sitting in front of this great, great being, ready, the great being's like, what's your question? What do you want to know? And it was not, what did I want to know per se, but it was more of, what did I want to experience? What realization did I want to have? And so my question was kind of fuzzy. I didn't have this like clear cut, how do I find the right partner? Or how do I extricate myself from the wrong partnership? Or how do I handle this legal issue I'm having? Or how do I, expand my business by 150% within the next 12 months? It wasn't that. It was more so, how do I have an experience of God? How do I remove my preconceived ideas and misconceptions of God, right? It was more like that. It wasn't, here's your answer. It's more like, here's your experience. So that was something that was really helping me have some interesting awareness I hadn't had before about question and answers. Then at the end of the meditation, we talk about be still, be aware, be still, be aware, be still, be aware. And if you're meditating outside, what's the thing that's most likely going to happen? Wind comes in, wind goes out. Ruffling of the leaves one way, ruffling of the leaves another way. Birds chirping, frogs frogging, all these different noises on the outside. And at the end of the meditation, just like what happened at the end of yesterday's meditation, stillness. No movement, no sound, nothing. It's literally as though the whole world stopped. And it happened 2 days in a row. I don't know if this is going to be a new theme, but everything stopped. No sound, no movement, no nothing. It's like I had been transported to a different time and space, or maybe transported to no time and space where everything just stops. And so came out of the meditation, did the physical exercises, right? The mental physics, which helps pull in the extra prana that's generated in the meditation. It rejuvenates, regenerates, and revitalizes your system, balances out the upper, middle, and lower aura, right? And is helping you with your longevity and youthfulness. And then right when I finished everything, I start walking upstairs to go to the elevator, and the person who had already just come down almost simultaneously was my friend. Like energy attracts like energy. He was practicing upstairs, I was practicing outside, and then we met each other in the middle. And he goes, how was your practice? And I go, it was great, super, super still. And I said, it was weird because for years I haven't done the Twin Hearts meditation, the Archangel version. And he goes, that's kind of funny. And I was like, well, why is that funny? He says, do you know what this property used to be before it was an apartment building? I said, no. He said, it used to be a convent. It's like, whoa, I wonder if I was tapping into the energies. Because I've had this meditation for years. I used to do it for years, but I haven't done it in years. And then out of nowhere, do the meditation. Okay. And had a really beautiful experience, not so much of answers being answered or questions being answered. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys, that extract what you can out of it. But my takeaway is you can read 1,000 books. You can have 1,000 questions answered. You can go to 1,000 different seminars of all kinds, but just one experience of the divine will answer all of those questions and more. That's why you see people traveling around the world looking for their guru, looking for answers, looking everywhere and anywhere. And they meet their teacher finally, and the teacher says one word, one sentence, one gaze, and everything transforms for that soul. So it's not necessarily about acquiring more and more knowledge, which is throat chakra, but it's about being open and receptive to experiencing God. So I hope that helps. Now, on to our Q&A. And I have to finish up somewhat in a reasonable time because one of the masters is doing several lectures that I want to plug into, because as Master Cho would say, the teacher is a perpetual student. So we learn things on the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual planes. You never stop learning. But if you have experiences, your learning is juiced up to a very, very high degree. So the first question, how do we unwire or rewire our brains from past traumas? Very good question. So you guys may have heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's very much into personal development, very much into the subconscious mind, very much into neuroscience. He's all over Instagram, Facebook. He holds a lot of retreats in Mexico. I've had clients of mine that have actually trained with him down in Mexico, and they've had profound experiences. He does blood work before meditation and then blood work after meditation, and sees all the different changes physiologically, psychologically within a person doing certain practices. But a lot of his focus is about unwiring and rewiring the brain. But in essence, when you have repetitive thoughts and repetitive feelings, or you have a thought form, right? Whatever the thought form is, I'm a good person, or the thought form is, I'm no good, or the thought form is, I'm unworthy, or the thought form is, I'm super intelligent, right? Whatever the thought form that the ajna and throat chakra creates, then you stuff it with a tremendous amount of emotion. So you can stuff it with energy by being repetitive with it, or you can stuff it with energy by being hyper emotional about something. Right? How many of us had a very traumatic experience one time, but it stayed with us for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years? Because it's not the repetitiveness of it, it's the intensity of the motion stuffed into that thought form. So from an energetic viewpoint, you're creating grooves in your mental body and your emotional body. So it's like a trauma is like a cut literally in your auric field and in your chakras. And so then what we do is we shield that trauma so we don't keep experiencing it, but then we become numb, right? So it's how do we unwire that and then rewire it? Well, almost similarly to how it got created to begin with. So what is pranic healing? Mostly cleansing, removing disease congested energies, removing negative thoughts, removing negative emotions, removing trauma, calcified ideas, limiting beliefs, remove, what color? Electric violet, right? Electric violet light is what we use for the emotional mental body. because it's good at disintegrating those programs. And when you disintegrate something, which electric violet light is what? Soul energy. When you disintegrate a trauma within the auric field, that area gets sealed up with the consciousness of the electric violet, right? So the more receptive and conductive a person is to healing, the faster they heal, and the greater the vibration or the greater soul connection the healer has to the energy, the easier it is to awaken that within the person they're healing, right? So if the healer is very developed, your healing will be faster, right? Because they're awakening your soul energy to heal you, because at the end of the day, all healing is from your soul. The great teachers can't interfere with that. They can make things available to you, but at the end of the day, your soul is what's healing your lower vehicles, okay? So you unwire by cleansing, by removing stuff in the outer aura, the inner aura, and then the chakras and deep within the chakras. And you do that for a period of sometimes months. Typically, trauma is not going to take years to heal if done regularly and properly, but it will take months, right? It'll take months to heal. And then the healer's responsibility is to project the opposite positive thought form towards that person. So if the person was sexually abused, the healer would remove the thought forms, the entities, elementals around sexual abuse, sexual trauma, unhealthy attitude towards sex, and then project healthy relationships, harmonious relationships, good self-esteem, good self-worth for that person. So you remove old thought forms and then you impregnate, right? New thought forms, good thought forms, healthy thought forms in the person's aura. And then in time, it'll stick. It'll become familiar to them. And then they can start building upon the energy that's been implanted inside of them, right? So that takes time. It takes a lot of time. Because it's funny. I've met many people who've gone through many personal development courses, spiritual development courses, and they still suffer from the same thing that they've been suffering from for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. Why? Because they haven't removed the core energy of the trauma, and B, they haven't spent enough time building the right thought forms and then stuffing those thought forms with positive emotions for a prolonged period of time. Right? If it took 25 years to create the trauma, is it realistic to have it all being taken away in a month? And now you have a beautiful self-esteem, beautiful self-image. You're worthy of great things in your life. It's not realistic, right? So that's why you have to be diligent with your practice. You have to be willful. You have to be like, I want to change. I want to transform. I want to become a better person. I desire this. It's the right thing for me. And then you move in that direction. So you get healing, or you do the healing on yourself. Obviously, it's easier to hire someone to do healing, but at the end of the day, you still have to learn a lesson. That's why the thing happened to you to begin with, right? So cleansing, energizing. The rewiring or the unwiring is cleansing. The rewiring is the energizing from an energy viewpoint, okay? Next question. I heard about the benefits of salt bath. Should I use table salt, Epsom salt, or Himalayan salt? Good question. So about a 10-minute walk right here. I'm going north. Well, this is exactly exact north. So this is like northeast. So if I walk 12 minutes, I go right to the beach. Lots of salt water, right? That's the best way to do it if you live close to a beach. If you don't live close to a beach, I don't recommend Himalayan salt. Why? Because it's expensive. It's 8 to 12 times more expensive than table salt. What about Epsom salt? You hear that all the time. Epsom salt has magnesium. What color is magnesium energetically? Red prana. It dilates. It doesn't have the same cleansing effect as just taking regular table salt and putting that in your bathtub. Typically, you want to do 2 pounds with 12 to 15 drops of lavender oil in general. And you can do that every single day if you want. If you have Kundalini syndrome, it's recommended to do it twice a day, right? And if you have Kundalini syndrome, please let me know, because it needs to be healed or your life is going to fall apart. And the best kind of salt is solar salt. You can pick it up at, I don't know where other parts of the world, if there are Ace Hardwares, but one of the best place to get solar salt is solar salt at Ace Hardware. 40-pound bag or 20 kilos, and it will last most people 2 months. If you're a healer and you do healings regularly, you take salt baths regularly, about a month. But that 40-pound bag will cost you $7 versus if you bought a 40-pound bag of Himalayan salt, I think it would be probably $400, right? So, and then Epsom salt is even more expensive. It's even more expensive. And typically when you do Epsom salt, you want to do 8 cups. That's the recommendation. One of the most relaxing experiences of my life is when I put 8 cups of consecrated or blessed Epsom salt into a bathtub. I sat there for about 20 minutes and it is absorbed through the skin. And my whole body felt like blissed out and exhausted at the same time. I could barely get out of the tub. I stumbled out of the tub, dried off as I was heading towards the bed, and just collapsed in the bed and was out cold. So if you catch yourself with your nervous system too overly stimulated, then yes, you can take an Epsom salt bath, but don't have the expectation that it's going to cleanse you like a normal table salt bath would, or the ocean would, okay? So I hope that helps. You no need to be fancy. Should I get the salt bombs and this and that? It's not necessary. Okay? Because one thing I noticed, there's 2 viewpoints. One, if you make a beautiful ritual out of it, it's going to encourage you to keep practicing. Like, God, at the end of a busy day at 7 o'clock, I light some candles, I draw a bath, I consecrate the salt, I put the oils in, I throw it into, and it's this beautiful ritual for you that you keep doing. But then other people create too many barriers to entry, and they go, well, if I'm not doing it to that degree with the candles and the dimming of the lights and the roses and all these different things, then they don't do it at all. So you have to find what works for you. But in general, I would recommend doing it, doing at least 3 times a week, at least. If you're a healer that has a big workload, every day, ideally. If you don't have if you don't have a tub, then you have to do salt scrubs, right? So you just wet your whole body, take salt, scrub it all over the chakras, especially get under your armpits, right? Because that's an area that healers get very congested. Scrub your front spleen, your back spleen, your sex, your perineum, right? Basically your whole body. And then sit there for a few minutes, let the green energy break up the disease congested energy, right? And then you just rinse off and you're good to go. Next question. I really enjoyed drinking coffee, but didn't know if the caffeine was good for me. Would you recommend decaffeinated instead? So coffee that is caffeinated has orange prana in it. So if you've ever seen instant coffee and you put it in water, what color does the water turn? Orange, right? Orange. If you obviously fill up the cup with lots and lots of instant coffee, it's going to be brown. But if in general, it's orange. So caffeine is orange prana. It's expelling. So if you have a really stressful job where you interact with lots of people and there's lots of sticky energy connecting to you all day long, it's helpful to do to take coffee baths about once a week. More than once a week, you're going to be draining your system of clean, fresh prana. So I don't recommend that. And you can mix the coffee with the salt. That's not a problem. If you do decaffeinated instant coffee, it doesn't have as much. Decaffeinated coffee still has caffeine in it, but it doesn't have as much caffeine, which means it doesn't have as much prana, orange prana, which means it doesn't have as much of a cleansing effect. So keep that in mind. So pause. 2 seconds. I want to get my water bottle. 2 seconds. Everyone relax. I'll be back. I'm back. Everyone calm down. Okay, so we all have our routines of like, okay, when you lead the meditation or you lead any talk, you got to have water next to you, but just out of the flow, I'm all over the place. Okay, so we cover that. Next question. Whenever I meditate, I become super hot, sweaty, and move uncontrollably. What's happening? Again, whenever I meditate, I become super hot, sweaty, and move uncontrollably. What's happening? So this is a story from Master Choa. Many, many years ago, there was a guy that was meditating in class, and his right knee was going like this. You ever have one of those moments? A part of your body just keeps moving. Maybe it's your neck, maybe it's your elbow. His knee kept moving and moving and moving. And Master Choa was observing him, and he says, "What's going on here?" And he says, "I must be having a really, really powerful meditation." And he says, "Why?" He says, "Because whenever I have a really powerful meditation, my knee moves." And Master Choa was looking at one of the masters, and he says, "It's congestion. It's congestion." So how does that work? So when you do a powerful meditation, what does that mean? The spiritual cord is bigger than usual, the crown is bigger than usual, and the downpour of spiritual energy entering the body is greater than usual. And if you could see it clairvoyantly, it's really amazing. But as the energy is moving through the different bodies, mental body, emotional body, etheric body, the organs, etc., the little nadis, it can get stuck. The divine energy can get stuck in a certain part of the body because of a blockage or congestion. So what do? Clean the congestion, clean the blockage, and then the prana can go right through you. That's why there's a benefit to doing hatha yoga practices or your pre-meditation exercises before you meditate, because you're opening up the channels to allow more divine energy to flow through you to flush out your system, right? So they cleaned it, swept. I think Master swept his knee a few times. They went back into the meditation, and surprise, surprise, his knee was no longer moving. But see how from his viewpoint, from his inaccurate viewpoint, he's like, when my knee does that, it means it's a powerful meditation. One level of truth that's accurate, because the more divine energy that's coming down, the more likely it's about to move that person's knee. Yes? So if he has a not so powerful meditation, meaning there's not as much downpour of divine energy, the knee's not going to move as much, right? So that's part of the moving uncontrollably. The physical body can't handle the downpour of energy. There was another story in the Bible when Lord Jesus went to meditate, and he had the apostles around him. And when Jesus came out of the meditation, what had happened? Everyone was asleep. Why? Because the great teacher is bringing down so much energy that the bodies of the apostles couldn't stay awake. It was overwhelming, right? So instead of so much energy coming down and it's moving the body, so much energy came down and knocked them out, right? And if you've ever been around people who do advanced practices, or you've done advanced practices yourself, there will become times that you'll be meditating, and then all of a sudden you'll be doing that because there's so much energy coming down, your physical body can't handle it. So it shuts down to recalibrate. So If you become super hot, what does that mean? You have more kundalini energy coming up, the feet, the legs, the base of the spine, which is activating and sensitizing the chakras. When you have divine energy coming down, it's cooling. When you have kundalini energy coming up, it's warming. So if you start breaking out in a sweat, it means you have more kundalini coming up than you have divine energy coming down. So ideally, you don't want it to be too cold and you don't want it to be too warm. You want it to be balanced. It's a balanced mixing of the two energies of the divine and the kundalini together. Again, sweatiness. So what controls body temperature? Basic chakra and solar plexus. That's why it's called the what? Solar plexus, connected to the sun. So if there's congestion, because you have red energy in the basic, and you have red energy in the solar plexus. And if it's dirty and you have a lots of kundalini energy coming up, expanding the chakras and flooding it with more energy, it's going to spread red prana throughout your whole body, increasing your body temperature. I remember doing the higher arhatic practices, kundalini meditation, and I would just be completely soaked through my shirt, soaked through my shorts, soaked through my underwear, and soaked through the chair that I was sitting in. Sweat would just be dripping from the chair because I had so many blockages and I was pushing my practice so intensely, right? Now that doesn't happen at all because the channels are cleaner and stronger and energy can flow better. Make sense? So if you're sweating like a pig when you meditate, that's not necessarily a good thing. Which is funny because pigs don't sweat, by the way. That's why we don't eat them. Okay, so number 5. When do you go from being a disciple to a guru? It's a very, very difficult question to answer. When do you go from being a disciple to a guru? So what's a disciple? A disciple is one who is disciplined and one who has an intimate relationship with their spiritual teacher, whether their spiritual teacher is in a physical form or their spiritual teacher is in the inner world or the energy form, right? And the disciple is given assignments by the teacher, by the guru, homework, as it were. And it's typically for the purpose of moving the guru's mission forward. If you're a disciple of the guru, that's part of your responsibility. If you're not part of that lineage and not connected to that guru, you won't have a resonance. The guru will make a suggestion, make a recommendation, give you homework, give you an assignment. That's not your teacher. Be like, yeah, not interested. Got better things to do. Let me go elsewhere. Right? And as I understand it, if the teacher assigns a disciple something and the disciple doesn't do it, it could be 10 to 20 lifetimes before another assignment is given, before another objective is given, right? For service. And it's a great opportunity. One of my mentors says, being of service for the great ones, there is nothing better. Like, it's an honor to be constantly used by the great teachers and the great beings to move things forward for humanity. So when do you go from being a disciple to being a guru? Well, you have a Satguru, which means root teacher, the permanent spiritual teacher for a soul. So that teacher guards and enhances the development of your soul lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. We believe our parents to be our guardians and to be responsible for us. Your parents are the vessels for your body for your physical body to incarnate. That's about it. But your spiritual teacher is with you when you're in a physical body and when you're not in your physical body. The spiritual teacher is constantly guiding you, right? The Sat Guru is constantly guiding you. So when do you become a Sat Guru? I don't know. I'm not a Sat Guru, so I can't give you the answer. We might be A guru is what? One who dispels darkness, right? So can we as healers dispel darkness within people? Yes. So we're like mini gurus, because a more advanced guru or a more advanced teacher dispels greater darkness because they radiate more light, they radiate more power, they radiate more blessings than say an ordinary healer, intermediate healer, advanced healer, right? So we're like mini gurus. But when do we become a Satguru, or when do we become like a great teacher? I don't know. It's a really good question. I might save that question to go back to in my own studies. Moving right along. Whenever I look into a certain person's eyes, I have a very strange, familiar connection with them. What's that all about? Previous work you've done with them. Previous work. It could be, one thing is you could have been a teacher, as in a teacher, like teaching a subject, not like a teacher, like a spiritual teacher, but you could have been a person who taught. You could have also been a traveler. That was told to me a long time ago, that if you go a lot of places and you see a lot of people that are very familiar to you, you were probably a public figure, right? You had influence and affluence. And also, when a lot of people get into the spiritual path, they start running into people who they've been co-disciples with for many, many incarnations. Hey, we've done this work together before. We've done healing work together before. We've done meditations with each other before, right? Which is actually funny when you think about it, because this conversation could have been happening physically, probably not on Zoom, another lifetime ago. So that person was saying, we've done this before. And then future lifetimes, we'll be saying that again, right? So if you look into people's eyes and you have a level of familiarity with them, it's because you have karma with them. It's the recognition of one soul to another, because the eyes are the windows to and of the soul, right? That's why the practice of Atma Namaste is so powerful, because it's my soul acknowledging and recognizing your soul. Right? That's why, actually, if people don't want you to connect to them, they don't make eye contact. So they don't make eye contact because of low self-esteem. They don't make eye contact because they're shielding you from knowing them, or they're not making eye contact because they're not trustworthy. Right? So there's different viewpoints, and you have to practice discernment to find out what that is. I have been an open book most of my life. As I've gotten older and I have more understanding about certain things, I make less and less eye contact. Not because I'm squirrely, and not because I'm like, oh, what are they going to think of me? It's not about that. Because I can start feeling people entering, and it's not always the most pleasant thing. Right? So that very strange, familiar connection you have with them is previous karma. It's funny because with my ex-wife, as the second I saw her, I was like, I know you. And I remember years later, I asked her, I go, I know the exact time, the exact moment you said, like, this is the guy that I'm going to marry and have a life with, which we did, right? We did. We got married. We had a child. We had a life together. And then truth being dynamic, it changed. But when we were together, maybe 4 years into it, I said, I know the exact moment you knew that we were going to be together. And she goes, when? I said, when I was standing in the doorway and my hair was super high and it was almost touching the top of the doorway. And I was dressed like a spiritual hobo, no job, no place to stay, but just somebody trying to evolve and become a better person. And we made eye contact with each other. And I said, I recognized you. We never talked about it for years. We never talked about that moment. And I said, I recognized you and I knew you. And she goes, that's the exact point. Right? Super clear. And obviously, here we are almost 20 years later, and look at the karma we've had with each other. Some of you know the story, some of you don't, but my ex-wife and I karma for days, right? But it was the recognition, the familiarity. I know you. How do you know someone that you just meet? Because you have karma with them. Really intense. Next question. I'm wanting to do my higher practices in the evening, but wanted to know if that was good for my younger daughter. Okay, so a couple of factors to consider. So we're taught in our Hatha Yoga that when you do advanced practices, your aura expands really far and it radiates lots and lots and lots of energy. It's like a ripple. That ripple can be too much for children whose energy bodies are still forming, right? Like for instance, if you're an adult, this will actually be a good way for you guys to look at it. If you're an adult and you yell at another adult, it's going to affect them, true or not true, but to a limiting degree. But if you yell at a child, what does it do? Traumatizes them. True or not true, right? You yell at a child, it traumatizes them, and it can traumatize them for life because their energy body is still forming and their filters are not in place. So they're more susceptible to energetic and psychological influences. So when you're sitting and doing your advanced practices, you're radiating so much light that it's affecting them. It can affect their sleep. It can affect their emotional state. It can make them anxious. It can make them irritable. This is if you're doing it for a prolonged period of time. That's one factor. If the child is ordinary, it's going to affect them more if the child is advanced. If the child is advanced and even more advanced than the parents, then the child can withstand the light, the radiation of energy, right? It's not as disturbing to them. So that's something to be considered. Also the proximity. So you basically want to be about 6 feet away from the person that you're meditating in. So in general, if you have a child in a room, you don't meditate in their bedroom. You don't meditate when they're sleeping. You meditate in another room, right? In general. So it depends on how long you plan on doing this. If you're like, yeah, I want to meditate every night in my child's room while they're sleeping, I don't recommend that. Number two, how advanced is the child? And there are factors, there are things, milestones to look for, or not flags, but things to be aware of to tell how advanced your child is. And then how close you are to them. So duration, proximity, and the development of the child. So if you're going to do it for just a week because of circumstances, that should be fine. You just have to sweep the child extra. Sweeping what? The extra energy that's in their aura, because you're making their aura expand. Right? Just like when we get around our teachers, they make us expand. They feed us with light. Okay, that was a simple question. Next question. Are there colors higher than electric violet? Yes, there are. So for those of you who took advanced pranic healing, which is the second class in pranic healing, you have basic advanced psychotherapy. In advanced pranic healing, you're taught about the colors, all the colors. You got red, you got yellow, you got blue, green, violet, electric violet, white. And then there are other colors beyond that. Other colors beyond that. I'm not authorized to talk about those colors because I got in trouble. One of my mentors got in trouble for telling me about the color, and then I got yelled at again years later, bringing that color up just to the master alone. So my mentor got yelled at for telling me about the color, and then I pulled that master aside asking about that color, and I got yelled at. Because there are certain colors that are destructive for the physical body. So me being a person that likes to experiment and get in trouble, I had my mentor one time this person was visiting me in Colorado, and we went to a brunch place, really good burritos, some of the best burritos I've ever had, which is weird. They're actually pretty decent burritos in Colorado. Anyways, so we're eating our burrito, and something inspired me just for funsies. And I said, okay, look at me clairvoyantly. I'm going to do something. Now, I wasn't projecting the energy at this person. I was just projecting the energy away from me and away from this person. And she goes, I don't know what you're doing, but it's so bright that the great ones are shielding it and they won't let me look at it. She goes, I don't know what you're projecting, but you shouldn't be projecting it. And I go, this sounds about right. So confirmation, right? Confirmation. So there are colors higher than electric violet. Yeah, there are colors higher than electric violet, but they are destructive. They're destructive to the physical body, right? So we don't want to cause injury. We don't want to hurt people. We don't want to deconstruct them. So it's the same thing with electric violet light. Most people cannot absorb electric violet light because electric violet light is very potent and very refined and very subtle. So most people's energy bodies are very dense, right? Are very dense. Electric violet light, when projected, passes right through them. So if you want them to be able to assimilate the energy faster, you have to drop the energy, which we talked about a few months ago in this group. You have electric violet, then you have gold, and then when it hits the aura, it becomes pinkish red, and then you have, it goes down the list. But if you want someone to absorb energy, the particles have to be bigger, and it has to vibrate slower. That's why people feel red, right? If you project red, somebody's going to go, whoa. As one of my mentors says, a good healer, the person doesn't even feel the energy. Why? Because the healer is vibrating at such a high level that it's almost imperceptible to the person, but they're still getting healing. But if you want the person to feel the healing energy, you just project white, or you project a lower vibrational color, and they'll be like, whoa, I really feel that. But if you want to bliss them out, you go to the higher colors, and it's kind of like looking at it like the sun. You're in the sun for a minute, and you're like, oh, this feels pretty good. But then you're in the sun for 30 minutes, and you're kind of blissed out the whole 30 minutes, and then you just realize that you're roasted. So it's like, that's kind of how the potency of the higher colors are. It's a person can project, it doesn't necessarily register, it doesn't register, and then boom, the person's like completely blissed out of their mind. Because there's lag time between the projection and the assimilation of the energy. But if you're sensitive and your energy body is relatively clean, you can experience that bliss from the projected higher energies almost instantly. So really that conversation is really fascinating. Like when you look at the energies and how different energy bodies absorb energy. So like vegetarians absorb energy faster than meat eaters. Meat eaters absorb energies faster than smokers. Smokers have very dense energy bodies. Drug addicts, very dense energy bodies. Very, very dense energy bodies. Like super, super dense. Okay. So the cleaner your diet, the cleaner your lifestyle, the cleaner your speech, the cleaner your thoughts, the more you can access higher and higher and higher and higher energies. But don't go too high. You don't want to destroy your physical body prematurely. Next question. What's the difference between a chakra that's activated versus energized? Okay, so this is actually taught in advanced pranic healing. I might be revealing a bit too much for people who have either just taken basic or haven't taken pranic healing at all. But again, you have basic, advanced psychotherapy. Basic, you just use white color for the chakras. Advanced, you use the different colors for the chakras. Psychotherapy, use electric violet for the aura, the chakras, pretty much everything. So when a chakra is activated, it means it's expanded. So look at it like the analogy of a door. You can have a tiny door, a medium-sized door, and a big door. So it's the capacity of the chakra doing its work. So you have a little flower, a medium flower, a giant flower. Is the capacity. How much can go in and out of that door? Basically, how fast energy moves. And then energized means how much energy is in the chakra. So you can scan how big a chakra is, meaning its capacity to do its job. So you have a big chakra, medium chakra, teeny tiny chakra, right? The capacity. And then you have how much energy is going in and out of that chakra, right? So when we scan chakras, we look for density. So if you're scanning a chakra from the side, so you have the ajna, for instance, you have the front part of the ajna, then you have the side of the ajna. If you scan the side, you're scanning for the activation. How big or little is the chakra? What's its capacity, right? As you scan it, if it's dense, it's a powerful chakra. But if you scan it and it yields to the scan, it doesn't feel dense, it doesn't feel powerful, it's more for show. The way you make the chakra stronger is by practicing the virtues connected to that chakra. So for instance, the ajna, constancy of aim and effort and non-laziness, higher will, making things happen. The more you use your ajna to will yourself to do things, the stronger it becomes, the more dense it becomes, the functionality of it strengthens, right? Same way directing people, right? If you're a manager, you have people underneath you, your employees that you have to direct. You have to direct their time and their resources to get a job done. That's ajna chakra. So you're developing your ajna. But if you're always using it and you're not replenishing the energy, it can be big, but it's depleted. So it can't get the job done. It has the capacity to do great work, but it doesn't have the energy to do it, or it's congested. So energy is slow moving through the chakra, right? So the ideal is big chakra that's strong, super, super clean, and then energized. And then you can do great things. And that's awakening the latent tendencies within all the chakras, right? So willpower, the ability to communicate and express, the love aspect, overcoming resistance, physical vitality, right? So it depends on which chakra you need for what purpose. As one of the masters in pranic healing says, the chakras are like a vending machine for sodas. If you want Coke, you hit the Coke button. If you want Sprite, you hit the Sprite button. So if you want willpower, you work on this chakra. If you want the ability to communicate and express, you work on that chakra. If you want spiritual growth and development, you work on this chakra. If you want love and inner peace, you work on this chakra, right? So that's all it takes. So you have to have the awareness and self-honesty of where am I lacking and where do I want to improve? Okay, then those are the chakras I'll work on. Ta-da, easy. So again, activation is how big the door is. Energize is how much energy is going in and out. Last question. No, I think there's one more actually. My sex chakra hurts after connecting with my partner. What should I do? Duh, leave your partner. Hello. Be like, I'm out, I'm bouncing. Okay, there could be many factors as to why your sex chakra would hurt being with your partner. So if a woman is on her period, her sex chakra is congested with grayish orange energy. Why orange? Because orange prana is expelling. The woman's egg is expelling, right? So it needs orange energy to release the egg. But in the process of releasing, it's using up or consuming prana and not being replaced fast enough. So there's congestion. So If a woman is bleeding or on her period and a man has sex with her, he's partially absorbing some of that grayish orange energy, which can cause his sex center to hurt. What else? You can have a partner who energetically cords to you and pulls lots of energy from you. And it can feel painful. Number 3, the person could have entities and elementals in their sex chakra that attach to your sex chakra and they drain energy. That can also be something as well. What else? Cords can wrap around not just the sex chakra, but around the sex organ and around the hips and around the base of the spine. Those are really, really deep cords. If your partner or you are with multiple partners, you have excessive contamination. What else? If your sex chakra is depleted and you have sex with someone who has a dirty, congested sex chakra, you don't have the strong enough fresh prana to overcompensate. So then you'll take on the disease congested energy, which will hurt. It's kind of like your immune system is compromised. Same thing. Your energy levels dropped and it becomes dominated by the disease congested energy. An STD, if the person has an STD and you have sex with them, you can feel that in your sex chakra. Again, this is for people that are mostly sensitive. Most people don't feel these things, but as a regular healer, regular meditation practitioner, maybe even a vegetarian, the likelihood of you feeling these things is greater. You could be empathic. A lot of people that I've noticed who are addicted to alcohol or addicted to drugs are empathic, but they don't have tools. They don't have awareness and understanding. So in order to numb their excessive sensitivity, they drink or do drugs to numb the pain. Right? What else? My sex chakra hurts after connecting with my partner. What should I do? So number 1, you can disconnect energetically. If you're with a partner on a regular basis, you can have the conversation. Hey, are you cheating on me? Are you sleeping with other people? Right? Get that out of the way. You can also energetically clean, sweep their sex chakra, remove the negative entities, elementals, disease, congested energy. You can have sex with somebody when they're on their period. You just have to clean the sex center, or you wait until after their period is over and the bleeding stops. Then the sex energy will be replenished. It'll be brighter, it'll be cleaner, and it won't have that that congestion. You can also scrub your sex chakra, your perineum, and your basic chakra with lavender and salt, and that will clean the sex center or sex area, and you can absorb fresh energy faster. You can also get healing, right? You can get healing because it may be something that requires more than just rubbing salt on the area. It may require disconnecting, removing entities, going deep in the sex chakra, healing trauma. If your partner had trauma and you have the seed of trauma within you, you can merge that seed with you and experience a lot of pain. It's actually quite fascinating. This is just the sex chakra. We're not even talking about the other chakras and the dynamic at play with them. And then the last question, it was like a bonus question, as it were. What preparatory work should one do before our Hatha prep, physically, emotionally, mentally? So for those people who are looking to take our Hatha Yoga prep, you need to take 3 classes: basic pranic healing, advanced pranic healing, pranic psychotherapy. You apply to our Hatha Yoga prep or preparatory, and then they approve you or they deny you. And if they deny you, they say, we denied you for these reasons, do this, this, and this, and then reapply next year. So how do you prepare for the 3-day class? I think they're doing Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. Vegetarian. as much as possible. So if you're eating meat now, I would recommend, not for the rest of your life, for preparatory, but I recommend no eating meat of any kind for at least 2 weeks before your class. Number two, take salt baths with lavender oil every day, cleaning the physical and etheric bodies. Do your Twin Hearts meditation every single day, rain, sleet, or shine, no matter what. Keeps the heart big, keeps the crown big, downpour of energy, cleanses out your system. What else? Think of 3 wishes you want to materialize. Think of 3 wishes you want to materialize. Why? Because your energy body is going to be initiated to a higher level. You'll have access to more energy, and you'll have an opportunity to get blessings from the masters. The guy almost fell off his motorcycle. I'm not going to laugh, but it was a little aggressive. What else? So you have the physical purification, emotional purification. What would be helpful is getting healing, right? I would recommend people get healing before Arhatic prep. So a pranic healer or Arhatic yogi can go in, deeply, profoundly cleanse the person so their vessel is prepared to handle more energy, right? Because it'll make your transition smoother. Also, tithing before your Arhatic yoga retreat. Tithing before your Arhatic yoga retreat. Why? Because karma is accelerated when you do Arhatic yoga. So if you want to make your dip not so dippy, like, oh, everything's great, and then the bottom falls out, that cushion is your tithe. So, boop, and then you go up versus, oh, it all fell out, right? So you can tithe. How much is entirely up to you. $20, $200, $2,000, $20,000 depends on your budget and how much negative karma A, you have, and B, you want to deal with, right? So it's entirely up to you. As Master Cho would say, tithing is never an expense. Tithing is an investment. Never forget that. Tithing is an investment. What else? So your salt baths, exercises, tithing. Oh, doing service. So I would recommend doing lots of service before Arhatic prep, and then also have something in place after Arhatic prep so you have an outlet for your energy. Because again, what's going to happen? Much bigger aura, much bigger chakras, much greater capacity to do service, to be of goodwill and the will to do good. So have your channel set in place instead of forgetting about it or procrastinating on it. And then you start doing these awesome meditations that make you feel amazing. You build up, and then all your karma starts getting accelerated. Not worth it. We talked about the sun, right? You're in the sun, it feels good. You're in the sun, it still feels good. And then before you know it, you're burned. That's how it works with pranayamas. And that's how it works with advanced meditation practices. I was going to say to myself, if I only knew these things when I started, but they were all presented to me, but my listening and my understanding was not there. Because everything I'm sharing with you was shared with me almost 20 years ago, but I couldn't wrap my fat head around it. But I think people are much more aware, have much more understanding, and are wiser. So, that's how evolution is. So the next generation of pranic healers and Arhatic yogis will be cleaner, more developed, and more ready to go even higher than the old folks. Remind me of the replacement for lavender, please. Okay, I'm reminding you. Don't forget to replace your lavender. Okay, so that is our assignment. That's our Q&A for this evening, guys. I hope it was helpful. I hope you are a transformed human being. I hope you have more experiences than just getting your questions. Know if allergic to lavender. Oh, remind me. Oh, the replacement. So if you're allergic to lavender, which I've heard twice in 18 years, so it's rare, it could be because lavender is violet and blue energy. Blue is cooling, localizing and stabilizing. So one, if somebody has a reaction to lavender, it could be congested, like energetically congested. The place that it's in, it's congested, right? Because oils hold on to energy. So it could be congested. Number two, it could have an additive in it, meaning it's not pure grade lavender, because you have doTERRA, great lavender, Young Living, great lavender, now pretty decent lavender. But there are other lower, more synthetic, more altered that could cause an adverse reaction, like a skin rash or something like that, because lavender is even used for burns and skin rashes because it's blue prana. So somebody being allergic to it, it's probably not good lavender. I could be wrong, but it could be not good lavender. What would be a replacement? Lang Lang? Lang Lang would be a replacement. Jasmine also is very good, comparable. So jasmine and Lang Lang would be good. Lang Lang has violet and pink energy in it, not blue. What else? You can also use tea tree oil. It doesn't affect the emotional mental bodies as much. It's more etheric cleaning, but that will be helpful as well. Sage as well. Some violet energy there. Okay, so those are more than enough to experiment with and get feedback from. Or just buy higher quality lavender. Because I don't know anyone, the two people, you and the other person, I don't know what lavender was being used. So I can't verify. But good lavender has the properties, anti-inflammatory, use it for burns, use it for rashes. So it's the opposite. So if you're using the thing that is anti to those things, but you're getting it, there could be something wrong with the lavender. So hope that helps. And let's close so I can make it to the next talk. Be aware of the heart. Be aware of the crown. Be aware of the heart and the crown together. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, the respected and beloved teacher, Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui, to his teacher, Lord Bodhisattva Mele, to Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, to Saraswati, to Lord Ganesh, to Holy Master Count Saint Germain, to all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, to the angels of wisdom, of awareness, understanding, and inner transformation, to our divine selves, our higher souls. We thank you, thank you, thank you, all for your great, great blessings. Thank you for helping us become better people and better souls, that we may be of a greater instrument of goodwill and the will to do good. We thank you, Lord God. We thank you, thank you, thank you all in full faith. So be it. Thank you. All right, everyone. Lots of light, love, and power to you from all the great ones. And I will see you on the Flippity McFlipper Son. Over and out from Puerto Rico. This is Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consultant. Wish you a beautiful day, a beautiful week, and a beautiful life. Atma, namaste. Bye-bye.